The island and the Jamaican diaspora are mourning the loss of veteran journalist Ian Boyne, who died yesterday morning. Boyne was highly respected for his 30 years of hosting and producing the TV series Profile and later Religious Hard Talk, and of course his many years of published articles in the Gleaner newspaper. Been with the JIS since the 70s. Longtime friend and colleague, veteran broadcaster herself, lecturer at Carmack, and a former chairman of the advisory board of the JIS, Faye Ellington, joins me now to remember Ian. Morning, Philly.
Morning, my darling Dahlia.
Couldn't have a better person, and I'll tell you why. Because Ian had such a bright spirit. I think that's how we would want us to talk about him this morning.
Because I really want to celebrate his life rather than mourn his passing.
Yes.
At this time, if you allow me, just to say to his wife, Margaret, and the children, because they have, I mean, it's a terrible loss, and
yes.
it's, you know, for them, that I'm wrapping them in love this morning. So that out of the way, I want to celebrate his life because he did so much.
Didn't he?
And it is at the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation that we first met. I went there in 1974, and somewhere shortly after that, he just came to that place, and he kept, I wasn't certain what he was doing there, but he kept coming there. He did the same thing at Jamaica Daily News. He went there. But I think what he was doing, he was just garnering knowledge and just allowing himself to become steeped into this thing called media and journalism, and getting as much information as he could. And I remember way back then at the JBC, the late Professor Rex Nettleford used to have a 5-minute commentary on television, and he made a kind of a connection with Prof. And I believe Professor Rex Nettleford in many ways mentored his development, intellectual development, and his thirst for knowledge, because Ian read a voracious reader. You know, there are times if you call this home, he's not going to be speaking, right? Because it is his reading time, his research time, his preparation time.
I think that's one of the things that made Profile such a success, that whenever he had someone with him, he knew the person he was talking to.
He was well prepared where those things were concerned, but he read widely otherwise.
Yes.
Philosophical stuff, you know, things that he could use in his ministry, because, you know, he was a churchman and a strong belief. So he read, and when you look at his articles, some of the information in those articles, you could see that they are coming from the depth of understanding of having read other people who had perspectives on it. And he, you know, we had some WhatsApp conversations last week.
Yes.
Because
talk to me about them.
Ian and I, as I said, we come back way back from the 70s. But he's a private person, though he's in a public persona. And so when I got the information that he was ill and went to hospital, Donna Marie Rowe, the executive director, and I want again to extend my sympathies to the family of the Jamaica Information Service. She had called to say he had gone, but she's such a professional too. He wanted, and his family had put out a statement for their privacy. So I didn't ask, and she didn't say. And halfway through his stay in hospital, one of us checked on, how is he? I think I may have asked. He's improving, coming around. So he went home, and I think last week one of us made contact, and he was home. And I said, you know something, I'm not going to call now, because I believe he needs a time to recover. I don't want to be foisting myself on him. I don't know what Donna Marie Rose said to him, but next thing I get a WhatsApp. Let me tell, and I'm just paraphrasing. Let me tell you something. How you mean you don't want to get in touch with me? You know that you are the person I know longest in media, and he just. So my response to him, you know, was, Ian Boyne, address me in the WhatsApp message, and we did a few WhatsApp messages and, you know, interacted that way.
I was commenting this morning, Faye, about his personality, and we saw a lot of that come out in Religious Hard Talk, in Profile. When you see people talking about Ian, they say riveting, always so absorbed by conversation. That
is Ian, you know.
Yeah.
If you ever get Ian talking, I don't know if you know that some of his sermons went on like for 2 hours.
No,
I'd never been, but I've heard about it.
Yes.
And I think I heard somebody make reference to it recently in another program yesterday. But he's riveting, and because he's just found so much knowledge to expand his already established knowledge, that he does that kind of thing. And just talking with him one-on-one, and if we didn't always agree, because he's not perfect, nobody is, right? But he worked for excellence, the excellence that he understood his job to be. And you know, when you look at Ian, working at an agency for the government, information agency for the government, but he is able to work, whether it was a JLP administration as it is now, or the PNP administration. And he is able to write columns and harshly reprimand either one when he might be there. He was there at the JIS, but it might be the government of the day.
What's the lesson in that for journalists?
The lesson in that is that you can have, you're a journalist, and you can have harsh commentary that is based in fact and accuracy for an administration without being partisan and political.
Yeah. Respect.
Respected.
Even the guard at the gate will tell you, Ian Boyne respected everyone.
But that's the way life ought to be. You know, I say to students sometimes, do you know the name of the guard outside of Carmack? You can't just walk past and ignore him. It's a thing. I grew up that way. You know, you need to know, but so respect and regard for other people. And, you know, he still was a little shy. You ever see him when I'm laughing, I'm kind of a little shy, even at 60, you know. And he didn't foist himself. He had strong views, you know, but he was humble with them as well. Very strong views.
Very interrogating mind. You couldn't come across Ian Boyne and not have him ask even the simplest of questions to find out what's going on with you.
In Jamaica, we're saying just fast. Which means inquisitive, which is a very necessary component if you're going to be a journalist or a good interviewer. But that doesn't just come like that. You must do your research. This thing that happens so frequently now that people are just doing a thing, they're scratching the surface in media. No, it doesn't work. You need to do the work, because success is not by accident. It is by dint of hard work that you apply on a daily basis.
I'm glad you said that, because one of the things he did over the years, we mentioned this morning, was highlight the achievements of Jamaicans, ordinary Jamaican people, inspiring generations to say we can, but in that process, also charting his own success.
Of course, and you know what is interesting about it, because I was asked this yesterday in another interview. People like Ian, who become so successful and larger than life, they didn't set out, I am going to build my legacy. You set out by doing excellent work. The excellent work will speak for itself, and that is what is the foundation of that legacy. So today he has a legacy, but it is a legacy of many years. And those days, as I go back to, of just coming to JBC and just, I was wondering, what did Dickens, this man just there? So he reminded me, and you know, of being there and walking with me to Crossroads and all of that. Then I don't know what happened to remember what I remember, but I know if him says so, it is true, because he was constantly there, and but he was learning, he was observing, you understand, and the same thing at Daily News. But he was just such a wonderful, warm person. You will disagree, you know, sometimes I'd send him a little message about something I would disagree, send me back an email, and it usually is expansive about why he did what he did and how he, whatever it is. Not frequently, but because when you recognize a person, who they are and how they have come to be, you just let them be after a while, you know.
It's interesting, in recent weeks we had, and I say months, we had discussion, and not just with me, people here with Ian, about legacy. And I know he was thinking about profile. I need to groom someone who will continue this work.
That's always necessary. Who's going to take over is always necessary, you know.
I'm not sure he was able to do that just yet, but I think
somebody will be there. Somebody will be there.
But you raised something important. I call her Felly. I almost said Felly, but I call her Felly. Felling.
And I like it.
Yes. It's the path to creating a legacy. Yeah?
Yes.
That success, excellence, focus. That's the path.
That is the path.
Yeah.
I have a little line at the end of my email in my signature that says, keep raising your personal bar of excellence. And it doesn't matter how old you are, you can do that. You know, and I just want to say, at his book launch, I was the MC. He'd call on me, and I go. At the 30th anniversary of Profile, I was the MC. As a matter of fact, I was the one who got the 5 prime ministers to
that picture.
No, yeah. And I asked them, I said, wow, 5 of you are here, could you? And they agreed, you know, and I'm happy about that. Of course, I took my shot, but the professional photographers got a much better shot, obviously. Better camera, again, phone. But, and we were there, and we worked together, and he just, It was the one with the 5 prime ministers.
Yes,
And
there
there it
they are.
is. I didn't take that one with himself and his wife, but it was just the 5 prime ministers. There you go. Can you imagine? He was able to, at the anniversary of the 30 years of Profile, get 5
prime
and that
ministers.
tells you who this young man, I still call him young because I'm 4 years older than he is, you know, was able to pull off.
No, that's an amazing achievement
Yes,
to have them
yes,
all there
yes.
to celebrate him.
Yes.
And just that book, being able to... And I
Ideas matter.
Yeah.
Ideas matter.
Ideas matter. And I thought Ian was a big thinker because Religious Hard Talk, when you watched it, you were like, where's Ian Boyne going with this?
You know what
Where did he get these people?
You know what I like? That's because of his research and his reading and his openness to having people suggest or recommend. But you know what I admire about Religious Hard Talk? We know that he was strong in his own belief.
Yes.
But he brought people on with belief systems that had nothing to do with his belief system. He brought on atheists. He just brought on just about anybody. And so people, and that is what was so engaging about that
Respected
program.
their views and gave them a
Respected
voice.
their views and gave them the platform on which to share them. Let all views content. People will decide.
Nice. I keep talking about me and the Curry Gold conversation.
Boyne.
As we wrap up,
I saw
yes,
it.
as we wrap up, Feli, one of your fondest memories about Ian Boyne?
It is sitting on my phone in my handbag, and that is the WhatsApp message that he sent me. You know, and when I looked back at them yesterday, I said, I wonder if there was something that he figured or felt. You know, and he told me one of 3 things. He said, "You're the person in media who's known me the longest." He said to me, "Look here now," and this is, he all teased me, "you could have been Mrs. Ian Boyne, you know, but you're a celebrity and you had the pick of the crop," something like that, so you didn't pay me no mind. He teased me all the time. He'd even say it in front of Margaret. And a very simple thing, you know, I was saying to him, "All right, you say you're weak, now just rest and we'll talk later." And he said to me, "But he said, I love you." And I sent him a big heart on WhatsApp, you know. And I said, "Just rest, and you know, when you're stronger, we'll talk." And of course, he interviewed me twice on Profile.
Yes.
You know, and the last time was for my 40th anniversary in media in 2014. And so it's just the warmth and the respect we both had for each other. So the memory, if he were sitting here, it is just what we shared. It's
Wonderful.
not just my memory of him.
He'd be sitting now and he'd be having a good laugh.
You know what you say?
Yes, he'd be
Listen
having
the body
a good
language.
laugh at everything we said, because
Yes.
that was Ian. And I'm glad that he was able to say he was moved by the outpouring of love, and that he
Yes.
realized just how much Jamaica loved him.
Indeed.
Thank
So
you,
to
Feli.
Margaret and the children, wrapping you in love this morning and always going forward.
Wonderful way to remember our friend and colleague, Ian Boyne. Thanks, Fellington, for being here. More and Smile after the break.
At the corners of my mind, misty watercolor memories of the way we were. Scattered pictures